it's not good to look at other people's faults. Clean yourself up. Clean your faults up. And once you clean up your own faults, then you can be an encourager. You can be someone that inspire, but not judgment. Not put judgment on people. Not make them feel worse than they did when they had to get this far in their life. And we don't know what they've been through. We just, when they get to you, you want to be able to be a good experience in their life. And that's, when you get to me, I'm your good experience. I'm just one of them out of many. My name is Amiyoko Shabazz, and I was known as a speaker advocate, a public speaker. But, you know, as my career started taking off, I became more independent. And so I'm still known as an advocate, a public speaker. You know, I love to be on the side of the solution. You know, the problem is always the problem, but then I tend to get inspired by the problem. And once I get inspired by the problem, then I want to know, how can I change it? How can I stand on the side to be the solution? And what are all the resources that I need? That's what's got me where I am today. But I do remember, I remember being homeless. I remember working with the Downtown Women's Center. I remember going through domestic violence in my life, you know, and I remember even that, the domestic violence part, I remember being so sad, but then becoming so inspired till I wanted to do something to change things. And I remember allowing that pain to drive me in the direction that I needed to be. And that's what kind of got me on this side too. So a lot of my bad situations in my life was definitely, I was able to turn them around. And now I'm able to be that one that people can come to, get that motivation, get that encouragement, and get the direction that they might need, you know, with spiritual counsel, or just being another sister, you know, or just a friend. I always tell people, don't worry, I'll say what you can't say. I'll say it for you. That's why, you know, I like the public speaking part, because I get to roar. And, you know, you usually feel alone when you're in domestic violence. But then somebody come along and they letting you know, not by telling you, but by showing you through their actions, that you're not alone. That brings hope. Somebody that can meet you where you are without judgment.
Yep. Oh my goodness. Ooh, you giving me goosebumps. How long are we?
I got them over here too, girl. I'm trying not to let the tears out. I'm like, wait a minute. We just got on the show.
4 minutes into the interview, we get the tears already. Okay, I can already see how that's gonna be.
But you know, spiritually, I believe that it's so many attributes that have been lost when it comes down to us being the people, being the community, right? Leaving nobody behind. Like, it was set up to where our people was living in tribes at one time, and everybody helped each other and everybody looked out for each other. And if the man was tripping, then the chief was able to go over there and say, hey, you know, I'm gonna need you to sit it out, but you can't treat our sister like that, or we gonna give you something that's gonna make you remember that you can't touch that one, right? But women lost their protection, you know, they lost community. I'm not scared to lose nothing. I'm not scared to be broke. I'm not scared to struggle, because I've already done all that. So it's already proven that I can do that in circles.
Yeah.
And so that gives me that right there allows me to be able to speak and speak on other people's behalf and roar and say what needs to be said and make people very uncomfortable in their seats. Man, you know, I've had so many experiences with domestic violence. I think it started at 14, but I think that it came from the family first, right? Because we kind of see it in our family, and then we'll kind of think that, oh, it's okay. Well, that just means that that's a strong woman. And I'm going to say it right now. Betty Wright, no pain, no gain. She was wrong for that one. Yeah. She was wrong for that song right there, right? because she was giving the women an invite to no pain, no gain, to go through all this and to be abused and misused. Like, I'll be listening to that song like, my mama used to be singing it, so that wasn't a good message, Betty. All right. But I remember my mother being 24 years old, and I was raised in the family of Islam. They were Muslims, and I remember my mother still getting whoopings at 24 years old, and I remember feeling confused. Come to find out, my grandfather was a woman abuser. He was a womanizer. It happened in my own family first, right? And then I had to see my mother go through it in the relationships that she went through in her life, you know, and seeing her trying to hold on to something that was poison, or all of these reasons like, well, it's my kid's father, you know, but still putting yourself in a position to be hurt and not wanting to, can't break away from it, right? Because it's natural. It happened to you when you was younger. You know, your relationship, it's okay. And then here I'm the oldest daughter. I'm next. So I remember, you know, when I think I ran away about 14. And I remember being with my son's father, and I remember him locking me up in the house so that I couldn't get out. And I remember him changing from the man that I used to come visit. So when I started living with him, he changed totally. Now he thought he was like a daddy. Now he can put his hands on me, tell me what to do, lock me in the house. And that was my first time going through domestic violence. And I remember that fire you talking about. I remember that fire then, because I would pick the lock, jump out the window, and do what I wanted to do. But I also remember the day that I finally had the courage and leave. And I never went back. Even though I have dealt with domestic violence from partners in my life, I'm one that'll leave them and not go back. And I think my strength is in not walking back. Because I notice a lot of my sisters, they go back. And it always get worse, but they got hope for it to be better. I never had them kind of thoughts, oh, he gonna get better, he just mad. I was always trying to strategize a way to get out. But again, it all go back to the household, right? To the family. My grandfather's wife, he used to beat on her, and she made a great escape. Now that I'm older, I could tell that she planned it out. I could tell that she had people to help her. But I lost all my aunties and all my uncles, and they ended up moving out of state. But they had to move out of state because of domestic violence that she was going through. So I remember that great escape, and it could have had something to do with me learning how to walk away and not come back. I don't know. I remember hurting because all of my aunties and uncles' last name was Shabazz. And all the Shabazzes were gone. So they had all left. I had no longer nobody to play with. And I think that's why I remembered it, because it created emotional pain. So in my own house, I had a man that practiced domestic violence, and it was my grandfather. I was on my own at 17. I had my own place. I had a baby. I had a job. You know, I was doing this adult thing and thought I was grown, but I was still young, and I was still inexperienced, and I was still naive, especially with men. That's where my most naiveness was. It was with men. And I remember allowing my child's father to come stay with me, because I thought, you know, you're supposed to be together with the child's father, and you're supposed to be this family. I didn't know about all of the other things that can come with that. I just thought that that's what I was supposed to do. But as I was learning how to be responsible and learning how to pay my bills and sustain my housing, I noticed behavior like jealousy behavior, like talking me down behavior, like putting his hands on me or throwing me down the stairs. And before I knew it, I remember turning into him. I remember, wanting to be the one to hurt him. And I'm like, where did this come from? That wasn't who I was. But after going through the abuse, I turned into the abuser because I wanted to harm him in a way that was sinful. And my mom had showed up that time, and she told me, hey, you don't want to do this. You don't want to act like this. Walk away, let it go. And so that was one of them domestic violence experiences that I had really learned from. I learned that it was nobody to protect me. I learned that I had to protect myself by all means possible. And I learned that I got to be on my own and learn how to do this on my own now. People are very attracted to my energy. And I've had, this particular person was so attracted to my energy that it became sick, to where he was a stalker. He doing things that he shouldn't do. So I've had that experience. I've had to get restraining orders. Leave me alone. Like, I would take all the steps, reap all the benefits. I found out about, what's that, where they pay you to get your life back together? Victims of crimes.
Yep.
I found out about victims of crime. That was one of my first resources I think I found out about. I was like, oh, okay. So I could do this, that, and that. And this can happen for me and my kid. Oh, I'm with it. I did it. And using resources like victims of crimes was able to get me ahead too, with my children, into safety. So I have a lot of experience with the domestic violence, but I don't go through stuff like that no more. I haven't been through nothing like that in a long time, because I put my foot down and I learned that nobody gonna love me like I love myself. And if the Creator created me, then I should respect and adore what He created, and it's me. I should love me, right? Because how can I find my Creator inside of me if I don't love me? Learning to confront my past, walk in that truth, be truthful. I have a project, it's called Free from Pain, and I teach a class on Fridays, right? And I have my women to do this project called Free from Pain. And what you had to do is you had to find like a picture of yourself when you were young. So I happen to have a picture of me when I was 8. And when I looked at the picture, I realized my whole life turned upside down. So now I have somewhere to go back to, right? So now I'm writing down all the stuff that happened. And out of all the stuff that happened, I'm writing down, well, what did she need at that time? Well, what is it that she didn't get at that time? Okay, well, what can I give her now? Because the little girl's going to keep coming out, and she's going to keep acting a fool because she needs something that she didn't get a long time ago. So I did it on myself first, and I passed it on to the women. And when I passed it on to the women, it was about 60 to 80 years worth of pain laid out on the table. And I got to see my ladies grow after that. And that's the same thing happened to me. Once I was able to deal with that, revisit that, apologize to Amiyoko for not loving her, right? Apologize that there was no one there to protect her when she needed protected. Apologize that there was no one there to validate her when she needed validation, or just be affectionate with her, when she needed it and she couldn't get it. Had to look at all these things and then make a vow to myself what I would do for Amiyoko. I will protect you, Amiyoko, to the best of my abilities. I will love you, Amiyoko, to the best of my abilities, right? So that I don't have to keep reliving what the little girl went through. And I tell you, boy, I soared. I flew up like a rocket. Everything just started falling in place. I mean, blessings was falling so heavy. Things started moving. I was overwhelmed with the joy of the blessings. Like, hold on, wait, Father, wait. Okay, let me grasp this one first. But there's another side to it, and even my women, you know, I found one of them. She grew in her womanhood. Her and her mother, they were able to bond. You know, they was able to get all that out in between them and bond spiritually and be there for each other spiritually. They took some trips together. This one community I introduced them to, they decided they wanted to go live there and start a whole new life. I was like, wow. I was so moved and like, wow, I just had to sit back. So it's very beneficial. What I want to just provide is the platform where you can let your pain out. If you want us to cry with you, we're going to cry with you. We're going to listen to you. We're going to be non-judgmental. If you want us to pray with you, then we're going to pray with you. But know that you're not alone. And that's that security that women need that been through trauma. I'm so ready. I love it. I love bonding with the women. I love seeing them overcome, and I love being able to talk to them about womanhood. We grow in steps. You know, most people don't understand it, but the woman do. She understands, right? And it's our duty to be able to teach the ones up under us. I take it as an honor.
How many ladies are normally in your classes?
I started off with 25, but you know, when it comes down to looking at the truth in yourself, it got less. It got like the 10 people and it dropped, right? But I had already knew though, the ones that really did this project was going to be free. That's why it was called Free for Fame. And we study in the class, right? We do prayer. You know, if somebody got a song in their heart and they want to sing, you can sing. You know, if you got a praise report, we want to hear it. If you've been through something, we want to hear it. And then we study together and we do researching and stuff together about the spiritual world. So right now we're studying about the elements and what's the story in the story of the elements. How do I balance out my physical life and my spiritual life, right? Well, that's where the attributes come in. In my spiritual life, you know, I'm living by a divine law. I'm living by a divine code, right? And so in my physical life, everybody gets a benefit from that, right? Because I know how to act. I know what to do. But do I fall down? Yes, I do. But I know when I fall down, I know what to do. You know, I have a support. I have my own support team, right? I like to go roller skating. I can, you know, release my hormones, right? I can get my little adrenaline rush on, right? I can dance, you know, I can sing. That's where I do some of my best ideas come up on the skate floor. I do hikes. Like I like to go to the ocean. I like to be with like-minded people that like to do these things. You know, I do bonfires. I travel a lot. That's how I balance it off. I spend a lot of time in the White Mountains, and that's 8,000 feet in elevation. So the air is pure. You know, the stars, like, they so close, it look like you could just reach up and grab them. But I do things in my physical life to help me balance out my spiritual life. But because my spiritual life is molding me and shaping me, both of my lives are able to align.
Okay.
Including my emotional, right? My mental, my emotional, my physical, my spiritual. But that's the goal, for everything to feel aligned. Because if it feel aligned, I'm a happy person.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Right. And if it don't feel aligned, I'm honest to say, hey, this is how I feel. This is what's going on, and this is hurting me. So I'm vocal.
Good. Okay, it's good. I'm glad to hear you say that, but and stress the fact that feelings are very important. How someone feels is valid. how someone feels in self is absolutely valid, and that has to be dealt with. Just like you can't continue to, well, you can, but like if you're developing yourself spiritually and you have unresolved like childhood issues and childhood trauma, you got to resolve that. You've got to heal that. That's got to be healed in order for you to be aligned, because you've got all this heavy tension and negative energy over here that's still festering. So in order for you to be your greatest self, all of the trauma and negativity, whatever it is, has to be resolved. It has to be faced. And that can't be done without community. They can't be done without love, support, spirituality, the creator, all of it. Let's talk a little bit more about this roller skating. So how did that come to be?
Well, I've been roller skating since I was 5 years old. And technically, my mom was 8 months pregnant with me. She skated till she was 8 months pregnant with me in Texarkana. And she said they put her off the floor. So I kind of was born a natural skater. Skating at 5, I never really liked the bike, you know. The bike will scrape up your ankles, you know. It wasn't pretty for a little girl, especially if you lived in a family that told you your legs supposed to be pretty. Like, between whoopings and the bike, I was just confused. but skating was the one, and that was part of our community. That is what our people did, you know. Late 80s, 90s, that's what I knew. That was a part of our culture. Skating was always what I had to run to, you know, through the domestic violence, through the dysfunctional families, through the kids getting on my nerves. Like, I had skating, and it was always something that was positive, and it was the one place I knew I could go to and lose weight like that too. But the community, that's what's most important, because skating without the community is boring, okay? Because everybody brings energy, and everyone's always so nice. They want to know how you doing. They be happy to see you. So my mind had learned how to associate that with love, because I always felt good feelings. So I decided to keep it up. I can say I'm a professional skater now because I got so many years. But yeah, I love skating. I love dancing on my skates. I love trio skating. I love partner skating. I have a partner. I like to do tricks. I love to do spins. You know, I like to use my imagination. And that's where my inner child is. So even though I got to be a grown woman, on the skate floor, my inner child can come out. And I think that's important too. Even though you're working out your inner child issues, you still have to have some goodness from your inner child, because that was your innocence.
Right. And your inner child, really, all your inner child wants is love and to be comforted. So if you provide that space for the inner child to be loved and to be comforted and have fun and be understood, that your inner core is going to be happy.
That part right there, you know. That part right there, you know, touch. Some people need to feel touch, right? I'm one of the people that needs to feel touch. So at the skating ring, you got people touching your shoulder, touching your hand, making eye contact with you, holding your hand. Like my skate partner, he hold my hand when I skate. But you, it's a lot of affection validation too, you know, and I just remember that getting me through a lot of hard times, but it's always been one of my happiest places. Now, one day I go skating with my son, sometimes on Sunday at the park, right? And you know, the younger skaters are on a whole different rhythm. I'm a roll bounce kind of skater. They on a faster rhythm. But he was trying to show me with his little wheels on his skates. He was trying to show me a trick, and he fell, right? And when he fell, you know, I had to reach my hand out and pick him up. But before I picked him up, I put my hand in his hand, and I said, "Hey, you'll always need somebody to help you get up when you fall down. So remember, your mommy is here for you." And then I pulled him up. So even in helping somebody up, there's a lesson in it. you know. Skating taught me perseverance, right? I was always an asthmatic, and they used to be like, you can't do this and you can't do that. And I was totally rebellious to it because skating required all of that. And I remember one day it felt like my lungs had popped out, right? And it was the most amazing feeling ever, ever, right? And from then on, my asthma had never been severe again. So through learning how to skate and persevere, something that happened in my body. All of this that we talking about is part of, you know, after the domestic violence, right? How you have to learn to integrate back into the world, right? And you got to find who you are because you was robbed, right? Your innocence, well, maybe not your innocence, but you were robbed of so much that was the person was supposed to help build the character. Instead, they helped tear it down. So now you have to go discover, who are you? I did many things to help build me up to the woman that I am today, but it took community for that because it took resources to be available in the community. And most women don't know you can have that whole transition and it's right there, but you got to be important enough. Then them kids got to be important enough to want this for yourself. And you get with like-minded people that can push you towards the finish line. That's just one finish line. It's going to be more to go through because womanhood is in steps.
The way you described that, it sounded just like what my process was after I left. So it was myself and my 6-year-old, and I'm the type of person where I'm productivity oriented. So once I knew that we had to leave, I'm like, okay, I got to find this, got to find that. I need this resource. I need that, blah, blah, blah. Once I was on that path, I didn't stop at all. And thankfully, at that same time, just prior to that, I was introduced to God. And so I couldn't get enough. You talk about researching kicking in. I was looking up this, asking this question. I had the most amazing life group teacher at the time. And I was in an incredible life group with women who were a lot older than me. I was the youngest by a lot, but it was like a whole bunch of like mother hens who had this little chick who was just wanting to learn and wanting to improve and just wanting more and more and more. So I had that community and my church community, and we were living in a rescue mission at the time, which was an incredible place. It was the San Fernando Valley Rescue Mission. You talk about resources. They had resources that you wouldn't believe. Sounds a lot like Downtown Women's Center with their resources. And they had Bible study there, and they had a shuttle that would take you back and forth to church if you wanted. And they had speakers come in with different resources. It was through there that I found out Pepperdine University had an entrepreneurial business licensing program. I did that at the same time. So I was driving from Reseda to Malibu, where Pepperdine is, and taking my son to and from school in Venice. And people are like, why are you doing all that? I'm like, why not? Why wouldn't I? Like, hello. So, and at the same time, I was nannying full time, and it was bonkers, but I had to do it. Like, I had to heal. I had to grow. And I had this little person that I was 100% responsible for. And if I didn't pull it together, what was going to happen to him? I had to pull it together. You know how they say, like, have your hands out and open and waiting and willing for those blessings. But keep those fingers open, because there are pieces of those blessings that are meant for you. And there's some of those blessings that are meant to pass through and be meant for other people who are either within your community or people that you come across, like at the gas station, whatever. But it's like you have to be, no matter how painful it is, no matter how scared you are, you have to remain open, and you have to take in, and you have to give. And now there are also periods of time where you have to kind of go in your cocoon and heal a little bit more. There are going to be different phases at different times. But as long as you remain open and wanting to grow, that's more than half the battle.
That's the key word, remain open and want to grow, because the opportunity is going to be, it's going to gravitate towards you. When you make up your mind to commit to do something that's going to grow you and your family, everything get hard. Everything get hard. The challenge is on. So I commend you for taking that class and graduating and sweating and being nervous and doing all the work and all the tears, because I do understand the finish line is what's most important, and the finish line looks like a dim light sometimes, and trying to get there is like walking through a dark tunnel. But the dim light, it gets brighter, and the reward is always on the other side. So high 10, sister, high 10. Hey.
Life is a journey, and you're meant to continue to grow throughout that journey, however long that journey is. And so when you come to different phases in your life, you're going to have different interests. So why shouldn't you pursue them? Why shouldn't you go after them? Why shouldn't you research them? Why shouldn't you? You're just talking about now you want to study herbal medicine. Well, all right then, go right ahead.
Everybody is support of it. Yeah.
Everybody's in support. So you should have human beings are so conditioned to, like, go to college, get a degree, go and do a job for the rest of your life. And then you find that although you might jump into that and love it, might get to a point where you're just like, I'm getting nothing out of this. I don't want to do this anymore. But yeah, you have the house, you have the 2 kids, you have the car, you have the mortgage, you have this, but I can't give it up because now I have so many people that I need to support. I am so glad to see that when something comes across your table that you are interested in, you're like, okay, I want to do this. I'm going to go figure it out. What book do I need to read? Where do I need to go? What institution, what organization, whatever it is, I'm going to go do it, and I'm going to love it. And that enriches your soul, but it also enriches the souls of the people that are in your community. And like you said, everybody is for it. Everybody's in support of it. So more people need to understand that we are given gifts. Each and every one of us, each and every individual is given a set of gifts. And we're supposed to live out our lives pursuing those gifts, fulfilling those gifts. And certain gifts might come middle age. So what? Jump into it. Like, you hear about these ladies in their 80s and 90s, and they're getting degrees from like Brown University, and they're standing up there with their little robes and stuff on. Everybody's like, oh, like, that's what we're supposed to do.
Right. That's inspiration right there. Like, okay, I better get it up, right? I better get my game up. Yes.
Right, exactly. That we're supposed to do that. We're supposed to pursue things. And I am so in awe of your energy and your spirit and your strength and your tenacity and your love. All of that is just love, just beaming out of your heart and your spirit. That's in it.
Oh, crazy. You said something that reminded me of a story, and it's in this book called The Book of Remembrance, 1st and 2nd Aki, chapter 6. And what it talk about is like when our souls was getting created and how they were created with different purposes, right? And so we have this already inside of us, right? But it has to be discovered. So this is my ministry work. This is my ministry side, my spiritual side, because there's so much growth in it. But we all have great jewels and diamonds inside of us that the Creator put. And even a diamond, they call it a diamond in the rough, that needs to be cleaned up. That don't mean that the value is gone. That don't mean that the shine gotta be gone. Just clean it up. So if you would a whole bunch of other diamonds, kind of like, it looked like the Care Bears in their stomach shooting out, nothing but rainbows. Mm-hmm. If you with other people that want to use their creative purposes like that, then we can create communities all over the world, and we can teach people how to do it. Mm-hmm. So that's like the project that I'm working on now, but that's the inspiration for me, is to please the King with my creative purpose that's inside of me by using my gifts and my talents. And that's where my peace is. That's where my joy sits. That's what I found. That's when I'm goofy. I'm happy. I'm a scientist. You know, I'm a bookworm. I turn into all of these different people, right? Because this is all of my creative purpose, but it's still one me. Release your inner warrior. And let your inner warrior guide you into your spiritual path that will help you with your physical path. Be courageous. I say warrior because be courageous. Be fearless. I always say that if we was created to walk backwards, we probably would have feet on the other side too. So we were created to walk forward because our feet is in the direction of walking in front of us. So we got to keep going. Feelings, they change. What's important is the safety of you. What's important is the safety of your children. And sometimes the feelings that you're feeling when you're trying to break away from something that's toxic is not the best feelings to follow. So get you a support team, right? It might not be your family, but look for them. Reach out to people. Ask for the help because the help is there. And people like me, oh, I want to help. I want to give a word of advice. I want to share my experience. I want to share resources, but there's so many other people that's out there that's willing to do the same thing. So like somebody told me, this can be the first day of my new life. And that goes for you too. This can be the first day of your new life, but you have to want it. Can't nobody make that decision for you. That decision lies in your heart. But I'm here to tell you that you deserve the best and nothing less but the best. And you can have it if you want it, and it's out there for you. And Amiyoko love you. If no one told you that they love you, I want you to know I genuinely love you with no judgment.
Aww.